What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'm going to break down some big data that's coming out for tomorrow that could affect the way the market's going to be moving, and also what's happening involving President Trump as we have more details about his trade policies that could affect the markets in the future. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to qualify for $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth of Nvidia, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 worth of free Nvidia stock. You'll also qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, starting off with the 4.1% APY base rate and a 4% APY extra for 3 months. This offer ends very soon, so please check out my links down below or sign up with my QR code. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the stock market. So as far as the market's going, I mentioned to everyone that we have this support between 618 and 620, and SPY ended up testing this on Friday. So I was suspecting there was likely going to be a bounce back up towards at least 626, right? So we suspected that in my video from yesterday. And then in my morning video, I said, watch that 626 area. If we hold above that on the 30 minutes or 1 hour time frames, I expect us to push to fill this gap all the way up to 631, right? We did talk about that in my previous videos, and this whole move ended up panning out exactly as we predicted again. So we called this top over here in the rejection. We called this bounce so far. And now I'm telling you this might be going a bit higher, closer to this like 635 area. I don't think we're done with the pump yet, but this could develop into a bull trap. It could be trapping a lot of bulls into believing that this is going to keep on rallying and going and going and going. Even though we might be making a lower high here, we might not be able to take out this high, and we could turn right back down if we get more news. And there could be a lot of different catalysts to affect the way the market's going to move. So I just wanted to give you guys a warning about this. So we're going to see what happens just to be safe, but keep in mind, although we might be going a bit higher, this could be a trap for the bulls, and this could eventually take us right back down towards these lower levels. So with that being said, let's talk about what's about to go on, at least for the markets. As many of you know, tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, and we have big data coming out. In the morning, we have exports and imports data in the balance of trade at 8:30 a.m., which is not too important. It's going to be kind of minor. But I believe there's going to be more volatility at 15 minutes and 30 minutes after the stock market opens. At 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the S&P Global Composite and Services PMI reports coming out. Expect some volatility when this comes out. And then at 10 o'clock a.m., we have the ISM services new orders, prices, business activity, and such all coming out. So expect even more volatility once all of this is out. So it's going to be very, very important. So I expect a big move at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after the stock market opens. And we'll see what that leads to, at least moving forward. So be ready for that just to be safe. For earnings, Berkshire Hathaway did not do the best. We did see a decline in their net income and revenue, but they did warn us that the tariffs could simultaneously affect them. And despite those factors, things were still okay for them. Share price was still, decent. But then we just had Palantir, which announced their earnings. They did relatively well with big contracts signed. I will talk about that in just a second. And then for tomorrow in the morning, we have Pfizer. Then we have AMD and Supermicro, lots of chip stocks announcing earnings after market close, alongside Uber, Shopify, and Walt Disney on Wednesday. So keep that in mind for earnings. However, Palantir is going to be very, very key. So Palantir is set to report second quarter earnings after announcing a $10 billion U.S. Army deal. This is some massive news for them because, once again, these contracts are just huge for them, and simultaneously they're contributing to their increase in revenue. So revenue is up about 48% year over year, which is awesome. And then on top of this, we also saw another increase in their overall profitability, plus cash flows looking decent. So the share price is up almost 4%. Good job by them. And they're saying that they have another AI leverage. So they're doing quite well so far. That's also contributing to why the market's doing the way it's doing. Now, when it comes to President Trump's tariffs, we have some big news that came out. We have the U.S. Trade Representative, Jamieson Greer, who is saying that President Trump's tariffs coming out in the upcoming days are likely not to see changes in the tariff rates. He's saying that President Trump is very fixated on his policies, and based off the progress that's being made, we might see a lot of those tariffs stay for a good while. He also mentioned that there might be little room for negotiation, at least on the immediate side, as President Trump is once again continuing to defend his higher tariff rates on different countries. So, for example, President Trump said that he wants to substantially raise tariffs on India because they're still buying Russian oil. And this is his exact quote from Truth Social, where President Trump kind of broke this down. So he's saying that India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then, for much of the oil purchased, selling it on the open market for big profits. They don't care about many people in Ukraine. He went on about that. And he's saying that because of this, he wants to substantially raise the tariffs paid by India to the US. So he was saying that he wants to have a base tariff rate of 10% on India, plus a potential 40% tariff rate penalty for what they're doing. And that's just his, policy, at least for the time being. We will see if there's some kind of deal with India to kind of change this, but for now, that's what President Trump has announced. These are the agreements so far. So we have an agreement with the UK, Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Japan, the EU, South Korea, and also with China. There was a deal, but there's still more negotiations going on, and they have more time up until like August 12th. So I say this because these are the deals so far. And then besides these deals, there's going to be a lot of tariffs imposed on Thursday, which is going to be on August 7th. We have a new deadline that President Trump has set, and he is saying that he does not want to change this deadline. He believes that the tariffs are going to create more fairness, and what he's doing is 100% necessary. That's what he stated. He also said that he's not happy with Brazil because of a lot of, geopolitical situations, that he wants to impose high tariffs on Brazil, on India, and many other trade partners. He also said that he believes that other countries should pay their fair share, and that if they want to do business with America, they have to once again pay these tariffs. So that's what President Trump just said. So big news so far. We'll see what happens with the deadline. For now, that's what's going to likely happen. Because the U.S. and European Union made a trade deal, President Trump announced that the European Union is going to once again eliminate their retaliatory tariffs, and the EU said the same thing as well. So we heard from both sides they want to basically pause their plans to impose retaliatory tariffs against the US. That's a big update, and that's some good news. That is a little bit more bullish for the markets for now. But keep in mind, as the market's pumping, yes, we're bullish for now, but then on August 7th, President Trump will be imposing more tariffs again. So we'll see how that ends up affecting things. So we called this balance in my video from yesterday. Now, what do I think is going to happen to the charts? Let's break this down. Now, keep in mind, there is big data coming out tomorrow. We have data at 9:45 a.m. for the S&P Global Composite and Services PMI, and then more ISM services data at 10 a.m. to cause volatility. So please keep all of that in mind. Now, if you're a big bear on SPY, just hypothetically, you want to see us fail at 631. If we can't hold above 631, there's going to be a risk of us returning to like 626 again. And if that doesn't hold, there's a big gap to fill back down to the low 620s to retest the lows from Friday. So in case we get a massive rejection, fail at 631. Now, based off the 4-hour and our daily time frame on SPY, the daily is looking quite strong, and there is some upside potential. Also on the weekly time frame, we did form this like wick right over here. So typically when you have like a bearish candle like this, you do bounce a bit, then you continue to dump. So this does open the possibility for more downside, and that's why I do want to give you guys a warning about that. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, we went over the the more bearish case. The bullish case is we just keep on going for like 635 and break that. If we do, we could be looking for an attempt for 638. Then we'll see if we reject from there or not. But for now, the best thing I could tell you is just follow the trend and play the charts in front of you, right? Don't just try to time the top yet. Be very, very careful. Unless we get the signals later on that the market's going to be forming another lower high. So there is still a bearish divergence on SPY, and this is kind of like a temporary bounce like I talked about earlier. Could we pump more? My prediction for tomorrow is that we might be trying to go higher if we hold above 631. If we hold 631 for at least the first hour of open, I think we could be going for 635. I would not rule out even more upside. It does depend on this data that's coming up, but for now we are favoring 635. And then we're going to see, can we take out 640 to remain more bullish, or do we come short? There's a good chance we come a little bit short because of the seasonality factor. And then if we can't break 635, if we get a big rejection and we return below 631, I would not be surprised if we return to like 626 in the upcoming days, or even come back down to fill this gap as we have a lot of tariffs coming up. And once again, this setup still is going to be resembling a slanted head and shoulders. Even if we go all the way up to like 635 or so, the head and shoulders like pattern is still present. So that's what I still think is very possible. And this is what I think is the most likely possibility. But I'm not sure about the rejection, exactly where we will reject quite yet until we see the data. So for now, look for some more upside. Look for us to push a little bit more for 635 or so. We may even get a little close to the all-time high. I'm not too sure if we break this. I'd be surprised if we do, but I doubt we break the all-time high. I think the odds favor us pushing a couple more points higher. Then eventually we're going to start to consolidate and then start to slow down. That's what I predict is the most likely possibility. That's my prediction for now, guys. So please keep that in mind. For the QQQ, same thing. Okay, we're trying to bounce right here, but in case we lose 560, there's going to be a risk of us dumping to fill this gap around 554 or below. If we break 566, there's going to be a good chance of us potentially pushing higher up towards like 568 to 570. And then, if we can't take out 575, if we don't take out these highs right here, there's a good chance we just reject near 568 to 570 and then turn right back down to fill this gap. So as long as we don't lose 562 tomorrow, I want to see us hold 562.9 tomorrow for at least the first hour of market open. If we hold 562.9, I think we have the potential to push closer to like 568 to 570, go a little bit higher on the QQQ. But then we have to see, can we take out this high and remain bullish? If we can't do that, if we hit 570 to 568, then we come short and we start to reject. We're looking for a move right back down to not only fill this gap, but potentially break these lows and start pushing for like the 550s or even well below that towards like the 530s. But that's going to be a video for another day. For now, we're watching to see if we get a rejection. This would also resemble a head and shoulders, even if we get a rejection right here. So be careful, guys. Could we go higher? Yes, but be careful the higher we go. On the IWM, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We're pushing. Are we about to make another lower high? We'll see about that. Look at 221 to 222 as a tough resistance. If we break this, we could be trying to retest these highs. But if we can't break that, we might push towards 222, consolidate, then turn right back down towards 217, especially as we have a gap to 215 to fill. For ES, we have a bearish divergence rejection. Now we need to try to break and hold above 6,400 to continue this pump. Okay, I think we might try for 6,400 to get very close to it, but there's going to be a support becoming resistance near there, and I don't know if we break past that. We might try to test near that, and then we'll see if we end up turning or not. If we break 6,400, we could try to go for 6,450 next, but if we don't hold above 6,400, if we touch that and consolidate, we could turn right back down towards the 6,300s. So please keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. For NQ, we have support at 23,300. If that breaks, looking for a attempt for 23,500 to see if this breaks to push higher or not. If we turn below 23,500, we can't break that. We're looking for a move back down to 23,000 flat for us to start dumping right back down. I do favor 23,500 as our potential target. We'll see if we turn. So be very, very mindful of that as time goes on. For Bitcoin, as long as we're below 117,000, I'd be very, very careful with Bitcoin. This level right over here, I'd be very, very careful unless we get back above 117,000. We might try to get close to it, but then we'll see if we reject off that. So be careful. As you could tell, Bitcoin keeps making lower highs. The chart is still favoring bears a little bit more. Tesla is still consolidating. It's still stuck in this consolidation phase, right? Even though they're expanding the robotaxi, we just got a very, very minor bounce. It's not really much that it's doing. So it might try to get back up to like 315. If that breaks, we could be going for like 325, but then we might reject again and continue to consolidate. That's all that Tesla's doing for now. So could we push higher? I'm looking for like 315 to 325, and we'll see if we reject. So give this the time it needs, because that's going to be very key for what we're doing. As far as Nvidia goes, we also have this head and shoulders. We're going to see if we end up breaking 182. If that breaks, we're going to be going higher. If we can't break 182.5, I'd be very careful with Nvidia. There's a possible head and shoulders here. If we do get a rejection near 182, we could still turn back down, have like a left shoulder, a head, and then a right shoulder. So I want to warn you to be careful. Could we push higher for now? Yes, we could. We could still try to go for like the 182 or so, but then be careful, because in a couple of days, President Trump will be imposing more tariffs, and we'll see how that ends up affecting things. So we could bump to 182, and then we'll see if Nvidia rejects. So be very careful at that level. Also on Apple, notice that we're doing the same thing. Essentially, we're still making lower highs. Apple was trying to bounce. It was trying to break out here, and it got another rejection over and over again. So can we break 208 to turn more bullish? If not, we could be dipping even lower all the way down towards the low 200s, and we're going to have to see how it ends up going. So please keep that in mind. As far as Netflix goes, we're making lower highs, as you could tell. This could attempt to go a little bit higher when you look at the current setup. We could try to go back up to 1180 or so, but notice that this white trend line is a rejection. I'll show you guys in 1 second. And we'd like to reject off this white trend line, right? We got 1, like almost 2-3 rejections off this white trend line. So even if we do touch it, we could still see another rejection continue to dump. So it might push towards this white trend line around 1180, then reject on Netflix. MSCR is bouncing a little bit, but look at resistance where this yellow line is. Rejection, rejection, rejection off the yellow line. That's our 50 EMA. So could we push a little higher for like close to 400? Maybe we do, but then we could turn back down from there. On Celsius, we could be retesting 45. We'll see if we turn. Look for 45.7 to 46, and we'll see if we turn back down from there. Supermicro has earnings tomorrow after market close. So just to double check, after market close, AMD and Supermicro have earnings. So we're bullish for now. We're looking a little bit more bullish, favoring 60. We might try to push a little bit higher. We'll see what earnings causes. Do we pump or dump? We'll see about that. Palantir is bullish right now. It's favoring almost 170. Could be trying to go higher after earnings. Good earnings from Palantir. Looks bullish to me. Rivian's looking weak like I talked about yesterday. We might consolidate, and I see a risk of us dipping to the low 12s, so be very careful. SoFi is making lower highs here. We're going to likely retest 21.5. If that fills us, we could be dipping to 20. AMD is trying to push higher back up to the low 181s. 181 to 182 could be tested. We'll see if we reject, but I do anticipate some upside in the low 180s. Please keep that in mind. ARM is going to likely try to push for 142.5 to about 145, and we'll see if we reject. For PayPal, we basically try to push higher back up towards 69 to 70. We'll see if we reject as well, but look for some upside. Coinbase is also trading sideways right here. We have basically 333 is resistance, and we have support at 312. This is stuck in the middle. Amazon's rejection on Amazon. It's not doing a good job at holding above 218. It might consolidate, but I do think it's going to likely be dipping towards like 208 in the low 200s. Looks bearish to me. Meta's looking more bullish, favoring 780. They have some bullish news. We could be trying to push towards this high. There's going to be tough resistance at 780. If that breaks, we could be going to 800. So there is still some upside potential, but be careful at 780 and 800 and see if you reject or not. So be very mindful of that. Google has resistance at 197. We'll see if we reject. If we break this, we're going higher. If not, we could be turning back down to 193. Microsoft is pushing higher for basically 544 or the 540s, the low 540s. It looks kind of bullish with an inverse head and shoulders like structure, so this might be going a little bit higher. Then we'll see if we reject or not, but for now, there's some upside potential for 540. For a few more, DJT is dipping here. We're making lower highs. We're going to see if we get back above 17.5. Otherwise, we're looking for the low 16s. The VIX is rejecting here, might be dipping to fill this gap towards the 16.75 area or below, which is a bullish for the markets for now. The 10-year treasury yield is dipping. The dollar is dipping a little bit. And then we also have crude kind of like rejecting. So my honest opinion is that the market is looking bullish. We could be going a little bit higher. SPY could go for 635 or so. QQQ could be pushing a little bit higher temporarily. But keep in mind, my word of the day is temporarily, because this may be a very temporary rally, right? I'm not saying we're going to be going to all-time highs or breaking them. I don't know for sure if we go that high. I doubt it, though. In all honesty, right now, that's my view. We might get close to all-time highs, like 635 to 638. We could be pushing higher, but then there could be a big rejection depending on the data that comes out for tomorrow, or even depending on President Trump's tariffs, which are going to be imposed on Thursday. This could also change things, so be very careful. So this could be a trap for the bulls. But like I said before, my best advice is to just play the charts, follow the trend, and then watch and see if we get a rejection or not before you start to short. Don't just short blindly, because once again, the market can be very, very tricky sometimes. So be careful. Be very, very careful. I think we go a little bit higher. We're looking bullish, but the move might not last considering seasonality and the traps that could be set in the markets. It's a very tricky market, so be careful. Right, this pump should not be a surprise to you. By the way, we did talk about this yesterday and in my morning video. So I'm saying again, we could be pumping more, but this could be followed by a lower high compared to this high and a big rejection. So please be very, very mindful of that. Anyways, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have a very, very awesome rest of your guys' days. I'll be back with another video before market open for tomorrow. So until then, as always, I wish you guys nothing but the best. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. And I'll see you guys very soon before market open tomorrow to give you guys another update. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, and peace out.